Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael, and we got a golden hour here. Sam Bankman-Fried, federal prosecutors have recommended to a judge on Friday that he should be facing 40 to 50 years for his crimes, and he should pay back $11 billion in restitution and fees. That's quite a bit of money. Now, again, if FTX is able to recover most of the funds, if not all, and potentially pay everyone back, yes, it still won't be a victimless crime, as a commenter pointed out, that due to the fluctuating values of cryptocurrency, and since FTX won't be using today's values, but rather values from more than a year ago when crypto was a lot lower, and some of these meme coins and random, DeFi tokens were worthless at the time, people are not going to be getting everything they rightfully deserve, and some of these people were without money for a year or two, and it's not like, they're going to get their money back tomorrow. It's still going to be a very lengthy process, just like with Mt. Gox. But does he deserve to pay back $11 billion if, say, most of the funds are, 90% of the funds are returned? I'm not sure. I think he does deserve to pay some of the funds back because he was blowing money left and right, and his family members and friends and people he put into executive positions that probably shouldn't have been put into executive positions. And they had a fancy Bahamas penthouse, and they were buying a lot of real estate. They were splurging. His brother or a family member was going crazy and wanted to, buy an island and whatnot. But in terms of the actual sentencing, that's going to be March 28th, which is just around the corner right now. It is the 17th. And with that, we are taking a look at SBF a lot deeper right now, a lot closer, everything that has been going on these past couple of months. SBF even considered coming out as a Republican amidst the trial, which was kind of interesting, considering his political donations. What's most interesting is he considered actually going to be interviewed on Tucker Carlson's show, and his thoughts were, let me show people what I think about the current staff at FTX, the bankruptcy team. He thought that the FTX team have no idea what they're doing. They don't know how to run the company. And he just wanted a nice little interview, which, by the way, considering he's banned from using the internet and basically all of this publicity that he was interviewed by a lot of journalists and reporters, that hurt his case. And for this judge showing this guy's not remorseful at all, it's probably a good thing he didn't do that, because his ego would have probably given him. Sometimes criminals, it's not so much about the actual crime that they did, it's more what they did after the crime, after they've been caught. And it's not helping, because your fate, your entire life is in the hands of one person, and a jury, of course. But that one person, if you upset them, which he certainly has, he disobeyed the judge's orders, his bail was revoked. I mean, there was a lot of things going on. That person's not going to be so happy, and they're probably going to give you an extra 10 years just because they don't like you. So it's probably a good thing he didn't do that. Now, just because he was thinking about it, it's still going to be something that's in the back of everyone's mind. There was a document that was filed March 15th that had 19 initiatives that SBF himself has titled Random Probably Bad Ideas. And most of this was, the intentions were positive, at least from his team, from his perspective, that they wanted to rebrand FTX, they wanted to rebrand himself, and they would start by rebranding politically, because obviously there was a lot of political turmoil when you're donating tens of millions of dollars. Now, they did donate to both parties, so it's not like he was just one-sided, but obviously, especially in this case, there was people he met with, politicians he donated to, where conspiracies started being formed, and there's a lot that he needs to rebrand regarding that. The second point was they wanted to take a stance against their competition because, well, it's a large exchange. They did fall. But if they were to revive the exchange, FTX 2.0, how would they go about that? And he was still thinking like, okay, I'm going to get out of prison. The company's going to get rebranded, and then I'll get back to it. I don't know. And then the third thing is the visibility in leading media, including a Tucker Carlson interview. So he was on many big news channels. He was interviewed by influencers as well. Plenty of influencers had good things to say about him, but back when the exchange was still around, he had a lot of powerful contacts. And now he has been found guilty of multiple charges, including money laundering and, generally really bad white-collar crime. Because when you're dealing with amounts over $500 million, in this case billions of dollars, it's not great on the resume. And his defense is seeking a term less than 7 years, 6.5. And with good behavior, he'd be out in less than 6. He is facing potentially at the maximum 110 years in prison, which is a very long time. And this is a very controversial topic, but I still am of the stance where he should be facing some prison time for his actions. People have been hurt, but you can't make it a longer sentencing than hardened criminals, repeat offenders who are sitting for violent crimes. And some of these guys have 10 years in prison, 15, 20 years in prison. But if you give him 80 years in prison, yes, it does scare off a lot of other white-collar criminals. However, it's also, well, what if the average Joe who didn't do something as crazy as a giant exchange scam, but let's say this is still a crime, but let's say he scammed somebody for $10,000 or a company for $10,000, and where he'd usually be facing, I don't know, let's say a year in prison, now he'd be facing 5 years in prison or 10 years in prison, similar to that violent, hardened criminal. That's just my stance, because whatever his sentencing will be, it will impact future sentencing down the line, and it might inspire other judges to give a lot stricter penalties. Yes, there's still criminals that need to be reformed, but think about it from our perspective. We're good Class A citizens, or at least that's the hope, and we pay our taxes. And these people, well, we have to pay our taxes to support them in prison. So if you have a lot of prisoners that are serving suddenly, instead of 1, 2, 3 years, 10 years in prison for stuff that they probably shouldn't be sitting there for, that's a lot more tax money that's going to support their, food, their housing, the security of the prison, the guard, the salaries, all of that stuff. So there's a financial aspect here where we also have to consider. In other related news, Barbara Fried and Joseph Bankman, Sam Bankman-Fried's parents, have filed a motion to dismiss a lawsuit alleging that they were involved in their son's criminal enterprise. And yes, there were millions of dollars that were sent to them, but you have to think about it this way. Your son is running a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and these parents, well, they're not poor either. They're millionaires. One of them was a professor at Stanford. I mean, they were making good money, highly well-educated people, where, the money that was sent to the average Joe, that's a lot of money. But to these people, maybe it was, I don't know, you don't know the full circumstances. Now, there's a high likelihood that maybe they did something also potentially criminal, allegedly, but we don't know, until everything gets discussed in court fully. And I'm very curious to see how the sentencing will go. But yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of considerations here. Prosecution wants him to serve 40 to 50 years. Some people want him to serve the max 110. And even if he does get sentenced to X amount of years, let's say 20, 30, 40 years, there's still going to be a long appeals process. Some people are very angry that his court date was delayed and he's not facing other charges, but, it's going to be certainly an interesting precedent for whatever else happens in cryptocurrency. But for crypto right now, everything's going great. Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high. Ethereum has had a new update. And with that, Ethereum is also going to hit new all-time highs. So very, very exciting news. But that is that. Thanks for watching today. Have a great rest of your day. And enjoy St. Paddy's Day. And with that, stay safe. And if you're new to the channel, consider staying around. And maybe see my other channel. Link in the description below. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Take care. Oh, look at that. Money right there. Oh, man.